The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
It's no fix. I'm not planning to. I'm not really interested to fix something like that, but I just put my point clear why I was that mad, and he had his point, which, you know, I don't think is as good as mine, but I mean, we won't go out there and fight each other, but we are not best buddies either.
Welcome to episode 99 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Tuesday, March 12th, 2019. I'm your host, Eric Young. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. James, how you doing this week?
Fight. I love it.
during
I always
qualifying.
get amped up for fights. I know. It doesn't matter when or where.
I know. I mean, I don't want more than we have because it would lose its luster. But man, when there's a fight, it's so good.
You know, I'd be good with like 5 a year, 5 good ones.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean,
Yep. That's like the right number.
Space them out. I mean, I like the fact that they're unexpected. You never quite see it coming. Sometimes when you expect one, you don't get it. And usually, I mean, I didn't watch qualifying. I caught I stumbled across Twitter at the right time, and everybody was going crazy.
Beautiful. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful thing. Sometimes Twitter is actually a nice place.
Yeah, it's definitely a great place if you want a quick replay, and you're not somewhere where you can tune the broadcast in. So
Instead of beating on each other on Twitter, it's fun to watch other people beat on each other.
exactly. That's what Twitter's for: is sharing fights.
Yes.
That's all it should be.
Sharing is caring.
So we're talking about the Ticket Guardian 500 ISM Raceway this week. Before we even got to the race, we got some excitement. We'll go back to that shortly. But let's start with the winner. Kyle Busch sweeps the weekend again, gets the Xfinity win and the Cup Series win. I don't remember how many wins he's got in the Cup Series now, but he's at 199 total across all 3 series. That's the big number everybody was talking about this week. Pretty much put a stomping on the old field on Sunday, leading 177 laps.
Yes.
I mean, I know, James, we've debated to death over whether 199, 200, whatever, whether all these wins across the series mean anything. And I think we've done a disservice, and a lot of people have done a disservice because they keep talking about it in relation to Richard Petty. And
Yeah.
it's not in relation to Richard Petty. You can't, even if they were all Cup wins, it's not in relation to Richard Petty because things are so different. You just can't compare them. I think we do need to appreciate what Kyle is doing. And I know your opinions on the smaller series and whatnot, but he's still winning them, man. And it's like, if Kyle was going and eating things up in the lower series, but not winning in the Cup Series, I'd be more apt to say, yeah, this doesn't matter. But he's putting a whooping on in the Cup Series too. And
Right.
So that, I think, lends itself to a little bit more appreciation for the accomplishment that he's made in the lower 2 series. What do you think?
No, he definitely deserves all the credit for hitting 200. I mean, it's awesome. Every milestone should be recognized, and hitting 200 is worth it's worth our attention for sure. I'm with you. I don't like the comparison to Richard Petty. It's not the same thing.
Right.
It's only in the conversation because of the number. I mean,
exactly.
it's 200 and 200, but it's, not all apples are the same, right? It's
Right.
it's totally different. But again, Kyle's just been a monster in everything he's driven, and he's racked up wins like it's nobody's business. So to take a moment, I feel like Kyle Busch's career moving forward, every win he gets is going to be, I don't know, it's just adding on to an already Hall of Fame legacy that he's built for himself.
Yeah, I don't want to get stuck in the Jimmy Johnson mode. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been a Kyle Busch fan. Even throughout some of his hijinks and things that I'm not so proud of being a fan through. But I don't want to do the Jimmy Johnson thing where I get annoyed by his accomplishments, because I think we really do need to step back, and whether you like the guy or hate the guy, you have to. And I feel like he's got more of that appreciation than Jimmy did. Where people didn't like Jimmy because Jimmy was winning, and
Right.
people don't like Kyle because of his attitude. I don't think it has as much to do with the winning, or more because of his past too. Less so about now. But I think people have a little bit more of an appreciation for what he's accomplishing. Even the people that hate him are like, yeah,
Yeah.
you got to give him some props for doing what he's doing, but I still hate his guts.
Well, he's at the point of his career. It's going to happen within the next 3 or 4 years where he's going to jump the shark, and it's what we're seeing with Johnson now. When Johnson gets close to winning a race, all of a sudden everybody who booed him years ago is
Right.
cheering for him now, and Kyle's going to get to that point as younger drivers come in around him and he becomes the old guy.
Yep.
He's
Kyle Busch,
Jeff
the
Gordon.
old guy.
Yeah, I know it, but it's
Crazy
gonna
to think about.
I know he's 15 years into his career and he's only 33. It's ridiculous.
It's insane.
But people forget how, Jeff Gordon's journey and Kyle Busch's journey are going to end up very similar when
Yeah.
it's all said and done. Kyle Busch and Jeff Gordon, when he was a kid, people didn't really like Jeff Gordon when he didn't have the same amount of vitriol that gets thrown at Kyle Busch. But it was a Gordon and Earnhardt thing,
Right.
And if you were Earnhardt, you couldn't be Gordon. It was a fierce rivalry. People didn't like Jeff. So
Yeah, we've got the rivalry with Kyle, but the rivalry isn't Kyle and somebody; it's Kyle and everybody.
yeah, it's Kyle versus everybody.
Yeah.
Just that's fine.
Well, I mean, look at his brother. His brother arguably did worse things than Kyle's done in his career, and people love Kurt now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yep. He made the leap eventually.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kurt's a babyface right now, in wrestling terms. I mean, he's the good
Yeah.
guy.
Kyle Busch is still the heel though.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you can feel NASCAR Nation beginning to turn.
I do feel like there is beginning to be a turn. There are, I mean, I was down by the fence when he won Chicago. There were a lot of cheers. There were a lot of scary boos around me as well.
And you got part of this is Kyle Busch has been driving that M&M's car for this is what 11th season in that car. How many young kids who were 7, 8, 9 years ago are now the decision makers? They're the ones buying the ticket. They're the ones paying the cable bill to watch NASCAR racing.
That's true.
Those kids grew up on Kyle Busch. It's crazy that he's so young and been around this long, but that's really how you grow your fandom in this sport. It's over time. Kyle Busch has taken the like a fine wine approach to it.
And that's something we didn't add to the news this week. We were trying to figure out news items, but you completely glossed over the fact that M&M's and Mars did re-up with Kyle. We don't know the terms.
They see the value. Yep, they see the value.
So, I mean, obviously they haven't been happy in the past with some of the things he's done, but the value has definitely outweighed the negatives, and I see very few of those negatives anymore. I mean, honestly, when he does something stupid now, it's an internet meme, like the Bristol thing last year and everything. It's not
thumbs up and the cry face.
Right,
and all
exactly.
That.
He's still making a fool out of himself, but he's not. People are laughing at it more so than getting angry over it. He's not wrecking people. He's not wrecking Ron Hornaday anymore. That was years ago, and I guarantee you he regrets that.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And I was listening to some of the talk on Sirius. There's a lot of talk about Kyle Busch this week on Sirius. And, you look at everybody was so mad about that guitar at Nashville when he smashed the guitar. And yeah, that was pretty stupid. His reasoning for doing it was actually not so bad. He wanted to give everybody on the crew a piece of the trophy. But then he donated a bunch of guitars to underprivileged kids in Nashville or to the schools that couldn't afford them. But no, he didn't get any press for that,
No. And a lot of these guys don't want the press for that.
Right, exactly.
Dale Earnhardt was infamous for not wanting people to not know about some
Dale
of the
wanted everybody to think he was a jerk.
Yeah, Smoke Tony Stewart. He's done the same.
Yep.
And he had plenty of troubles of his own with his own sponsors too.
Right.
Yeah, it's it feels like we've just to maybe put a button on the end of the Kyle Busch's, because I think over the next couple of weeks Kyle Busch is going to win this race no matter what. It's going to come in Auto Club, or it could be a week or two from now.
Right.
And he's going to hit that 200 number, and we're going to have plenty more time to talk about.
Was he running the Xfinity race this weekend? If he is, it's that. There you go.
Yeah, if he's running, well, he could get the 200 and the 201 this weekend.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah.
But we've talked about this on the podcast a couple of times. But if Kyle Busch can just get a championship, another one, this really is his era. We've had the Jimmy Johnson era. But if Kyle Busch can rack up a couple more of these championships, it's his era.
Yep.
right now he's kind of in a tug of war with Harvick and maybe Joey Logano, but this is the Kyle Busch era we are in, and we might be in it for some time.
Let's take a minute, James, and I'm just going to throw out there how much I appreciate this current point structure that we have. There's been a lot of people that have hated the changes that NASCAR has made, but let's really just with this point system, you have to be consistent. You have to be good all season, but you also have to be good when it matters. I mean, look at last season. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, one of those two should have won the championship.
Yep.
But Joey was consistent enough to be there and then was good when it mattered in that last race. You have to love this system.
Yeah, NASCAR has successfully recreated the Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards model. Tony Stewart and Carl Edwards actually launched this era with that 2011 championship.
Yep.
You had the art of consistency in Carl Edwards, just pounding out top 5 finishes throughout the chase. Then you had Tony Stewart, the underdog, going out there and just finding ways to win. And it culminated in a tie. And basically that's what we get every year when we go to Homestead.
Right.
And Joey Logano, like you said, he was the one who capitalized on it last year. He was the underdog.
I can't think of
successfully made it
anything
happen.
I would change about the point structure.
No, I leave it go. They've got
it is perfect. Absolutely perfect. I think the stages, I think the points where they get them, it is perfect. Don't change a thing.
Yep, keep it good.
There was another point I wanted to make, but I forgot what it was. So let's move on. Ryan Blaney comes up just short of a win. Almost had a Penske three-peat with all 3 of the Penske drivers getting a win each week. But came up just short at the end.
And we joked about it on the podcast last week. We should have taken Ryan Blaney.
Right.
The dude almost, doggone it, he almost did it.
Blaney just is that guy that he's just there. He's just floating around there in the top 10 generally. And then he just has a race where it's like, oh, crap, Blaney's going to win.
Yep.
I mean, he did it at the Roval last year. Who was even talking about Blaney last year at the Roval?
I know.
And it's just, he just pops out of nowhere. He's just there consistently and can pop in and get a win here or there. So, hey, been a cool storyline for Penske. Obviously, Kyle just had a faster car at the end. Blaney, I think they was on 2 tires at the end, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So,
yep. Yeah, he was trying, and there was some fuel strategy going on.
Yeah.
Between a couple of those guys, but it didn't really matter to Kyle.
No.
He was taking it. He was taking it.
What about Kevin Harvick? He comes home in 9th place. He was out of the top 10 a lot of the day. Basically wasn't a factor. I went on a little goose chase today. I told you about before we started recording.
You did.
So wanted to really look up the numbers and see pre-spoiler penalty last year and post-spoiler penalty last year where his average finishes sit. And I mean, I didn't compare. I had like 10 minutes to do this, to throw it together. So I didn't get real in depth, and I didn't look at all the Stewart-Haas cars because I think we've kind of seen all the Stewart-Haas cars kind of fall off a little bit. But if you took his average finish last year and you took out all the super speedways, and then you took out his 3 races, he had 3 crashes that had him finish in like 39th, 40th, 3 different times. You take those out, he had an average finish, I think I said 4.2 last season.
Yeah. Yep.
And then after the penalty, his average finish is 5th. So
beast. And he was.
Yeah,
they were just bad fast.
He stunk it up at ISM stunk it up for Kevin Harvick. But I don't think there's enough there to say that it has anything to do with the penalty. I think they're struggling a little bit.
Well, I think this happens
by struggling. I mean they just don't have it where
by his by his standards.
They're just not where Penske is right now.
Yeah, and that's fine. And that's fine. You don't have to be there right now. They just got to consistently be good, and they're good.
Right, and there's nothing really to talk about. Harvick's going to get a win.
Well, and Kevin Harvick, I think Joe Gibbs Racing posted it on Instagram. He was talking. Harvick was talking in the booth to Eric Jones about how Kyle Busch has figured out the way around ISM better than anybody.
Yeah.
And since they've moved the start finish line, nobody's won a race there except Kyle Busch.
Right.
So that's crazy.
Yeah.
But Harvick was saying how Kyle gets up on that high line. He said, I just can't do it. He said, I can beat people all day down low. He says, but when Kyle Busch gets that high line and it starts coming in for him, he said, you just can't touch him. He's just too fast.
That really is a Kevin Harvick thing. If you think of a track where the bottom is the line,
yeah, and he beats
Kevin Harvick, man.
Yeah,
he's the guy. But if you got to go up high, it's not Harvick.
Yeah, it's not. And yeah, Harvick will pound the heck out of the bottom all
Yep.
day, all day. And you can race, and you got guys racing all over the place, and he's just gonna keep hugging that line.
Yep.
He was taking his it would be the old turn 4, so it's turn 2 now. He was coming to, like, it looked like he was going onto pit road. Like, I can't remember,
Yeah.
I can't how many times on Sunday when
I'm
I was
fascinated with how low they run coming out of turn 2 now.
Yeah, they don't even care
No.
that there's a line there. They're
I
just
mean-
like, this is asphalt, I can run it.
There was a little bit of, before they made the configuration change, where you'd see him get 4 tires below the yellow line, but now they're like 2 car widths below the yellow line.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Have you seen the drivers are already complaining about how rough it is down there?
Oh my God.
And I'm
Good.
like-
Make it rougher.
I know, that's what I said.
Put some jumps.
what I
Put a couple double jumps down there.
Johnson had a good one where he said, "I don't go down there unless I absolutely have to have a great reason to go down there." Well, Brad Keselowski's a good example. He
Yeah.
was dive bombed and stuff broke. You
Yep.
know, that's the way it goes. You get the risk reward. You should have a little bit of risk if you're going to dive bomb. 10 lanes off the wall.
I'll tell you what, if we can create something that will cause some of these cars to break occasionally, that's better.
It's a good thing.
We need that sort of stuff. I mean,
more
bummer
attrition.
for Brad Keselowski, but
Yeah, you need attrition in sports.
Yep.
All sports. Yep.
yep, it gets some of those lap cars out of the way that everybody's complaining about all the time. And
Oh yeah. God, there were some really bad ones this weekend.
yeah,
Whew.
yeah, there's going to be. I mean, when you've got, especially in a race like this, okay, so you got 36 cars starting. All of them are drivers that are charter drivers. They're all going to have decent enough program where they're not starting parking. You're going to have a full field of cars left out there because they don't break anymore.
Yep.
So I mean, again, Harvick's going to win, and so he'll be in the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter. Of course, we said that about Joey Logano 2 years ago, and then that didn't happen. But I mean, is there anything? Is there something to worry about if you're a Kevin Harvick fan right now, or it's too early?
No,
at this
his
point?
car, the Stewart-Haas cars are fast enough. I just Penske's on another level right now,
Yeah.
and I think
Well,
as
Penske's
far
on
as
another level right now, but JGR has 2 wins.
well, yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, and one of those is Daytona, obviously, but that doesn't matter. It's yeah, they got 4 guys locked in between the 2 of them, so.
Yep.
Yeah, Harvick will be fine. Stewart-Haas will be fine. I wouldn't be surprised if Harvick won an Auto Club. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
he'll be fine.
All right. I guess let's talk a little bit. We'll finish up on the race and we'll talk about qualifying. Winners, losers. Anybody we really want to point out here that had exceptional days? I see William Byron hung out there, 24th place finish.
Nice run for Eric Almirola.
Yeah.
Nice run. I continue to be surprised by seeing him in the top 5, but it's getting to the point where I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
He's a really good run. Truex was fast at the end.
Yep.
Nice run from him too. Denny Hamlin, top 5.
Yes.
That was not easy to come by last year for him. So he's definitely.
I heard somebody call on Moody's show on my way home today that Denny Hamlin's going to win the championship. It's like, okay, pump the brakes a little bit there.
Yeah,
But-
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked
Yeah.
at this point, but it's not out of the realm of possibility.
No, I mean, but that's the thing. There's
still,
there's
yeah.
going to be 4 guys with the same chance at Homestead, so you never know.
He's arguably the third best. Well, he is the third best driver on his own team at
Yeah.
this point right now. In Martin Truex Jr., that team's going to start lighting some fire.
Yeah, I agree.
They're already really good. He's going to win more He's going to win races again this year.
Yep, they're kind of quietly there too.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
still building that team a little bit. I know there's a lot of carryover, but it's still going to take a little bit of time. But that team, once they get a win, it's on.
Jimmy Johnson said they're happy with the progress they're making. He finished ahead of Harvick, finished in 8th place this weekend.
Yeah, highest.
He beat
highest
Joey
Hendrick car.
Logano,
Yeah.
So
Chase Elliott had a whole slew of problems.
Yeah.
Ended up 14th. I mean, it was a good run considering all the stuff he did. I mean, jumping the start and
Yeah.
oh, man, yeah,
yeah,
and the tire issues.
let's talk about that. Jump in the start. So, I know that there's been changes to the restart rule in NASCAR over the years, where you can now beat the leader to the line as long as the leader goes first and then you go. But the rules never changed for the start. The leader
Yeah.
has to hit the line first, and I heard the team arguing it on the radio, but that's a pretty black and white rule, and it's been that way
kind
forever.
of a knucklehead call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, it's about the same as putting your hand on pit road, which we had another crewman, I don't remember which team it was, do that this weekend again.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Like, you didn't learn your lesson last week. Keep your hands
Yeah.
off of pit road.
Yep.
It's probably worth the mention 12th and 13th for Ryan Newman and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. So both Roush Fenway cars. They're real close to a top 10.
Yeah, those Roush cars. I don't. We've seen this before.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to pump the brakes. We've seen them come out of the box and be like, "Hey, Roush Fenway," and then they just disappear. So let's see. I'm actually really curious to see what Stenhouse does at Auto Club. He's one of the guys I'm going to be watching.
I'm really curious to see what Stenhouse does in about a month at Bristol.
Yeah, when he's got the chrome horn on there.
I have my eyes. Well, he's run well.
He's
at
good
Bristol.
there. He is good there. Yes.
And so they're clicking a little bit this year. They're making a little bit of progress. He might be in the running at Bristol this year.
And the problem with him is if he sees an opportunity, he's been making some really bad decisions. So
yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, who knows how close his career is to being on the line? God,
I hope not. Because I think he's a good driver.
Me too.
He's just kind of makes decisions.
And he's in a place right now that, I mean, you could put Kyle Busch in a Roush Fenway car, and Kyle Busch isn't going to run like Kyle Busch is running now.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. It's not like Stenhouse is running. I mean, look what Carl. I mean, you want a great example. It's a couple years ago, but look what Carl Edwards did when he left Roush and went to Gibbs. I mean, there's an example for you.
Yeah, I mean, I would put
Matt Kenseth.
I would put Roush Fenway on the same line as JTD Doherty Racing.
Yeah, that's about right.
I think they're pretty equal in that range.
Yeah, that's about right. They're behind like Chip Ganassi.
Yep.
But yeah, that's kind of the tier they're in. Yep. Richard Childress is in that tier too, I think.
Yep. They're ahead of Richard Petty, but not anywhere near the other teams right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Childress is in the same tier, easily in the same tier.
Yep.
All right. So we had a fight on pit road during qualifying. Daniel Suarez comes over to confront Michael McDowell. Michael McDowell gives him a shove, and they end up scuffling on pit road. First of all, I thought the one thing that I thought was the best, and this was kind of buried. The lead was buried on this one a little bit. Is we're talking about the fight. We're talking about how we've never seen a fight during qualifying and blah blah blah. I think this just goes to show you, we've kind of gotten in the habit over the past few years of going, qualifying doesn't matter. Nobody cares about qualifying. This shows that these drivers care about qualifying, that it is still important to go out there and put in a good lap.
And you have to wonder,
then they wouldn't have been fighting over it.
Right. And it has to be the right storm, and you have to wonder what Daniel Suarez's contract looks like.
Right.
And he may have so much pressure on him to perform that every little bit means something. And qualifying is important for somebody in that kind of position.
Oh, I'd love to see the fire. Like we talked at the Open, I
do too.
I'm good with the fight, and I love seeing Suarez get fiery. We need that.
Yeah, Suarez made a nice leap in my favorite list of drivers.
Same here.
He was way down there, and I gotta tell you what. My first impression of the whole thing was, dude is strong, because Michael McDowell is a big man.
Yeah.
When you talk about the size of race car drivers, like he's just and he's like the nicest guy in the world too. But
right,
Daniel
that's the thing.
Suarez,
both of them are nice guys.
well, yeah, I know. But
two guys you don't expect to fight on pit road.
Like, did Daniel Suarez fight bulls, or like was he a wrestler in high school or something? Because man, was he fast! I was like, holy smokes!
He had a pretty good takedown. I mean,
I know that was a couple of points.
He slammed. It was definitely a couple of points. He got the slam on McDowell. So here's a question. There's been a lot of debate on it this week, and I really haven't paid any attention to the debate, but I know I have my thoughts on it. So here's the deal: you're going into a fight. We've seen fights throughout history in NASCAR. What is the proper fight etiquette, James? Do you take the helmet off, or do you keep the helmet on?
No, if somebody's coming at you, you keep that helmet on. Don't be stupid. Even though it's kind of like a wuss thing to say, somebody's coming. Look at all the fights Jeff Gordon. Look at all the fights Jeff Gordon's been in. He doesn't take the helmet off.
Yeah. So, but if you're the guy coming in, like you're Suarez coming in. Is Suarez right to keep it? I mean, he didn't in this case. Suarez had the helmet off, and McDowell had his on. And McDowell said his was on for no reason other than the fact that he's just used to getting out of the car with the helmet on. But if you're Suarez coming in, are you smarter to leave the helmet on, or you're starting the fight? Should you keep the helmet off?
If you're starting the fight, be a man and take the helmet off is what I want to say.
Because I remember a couple Kevin Harvick fights where Harvick had his helmet on. I
Yeah,
believe he
oh,
had
yeah.
his helmet on when he went after Kyle Busch at Darlington.
What was the Greg Biffle? Remember when he went after Greg Biffle? I feel like he didn't have his helmet on.
No,
back then.
he
That was
didn't.
that was a different Kevin Harvick.
That
back
was
then.
him. Oh yeah, that was Kevin Harvick. That same Kevin Harvick went after Ricky Rudd at Richmond. I missed that Kevin Harvick.
He
really
was a
missed
lightning
that Kevin
rod.
Harvick.
Yeah,
We
He was
need
a
that
lightning
Kevin Harvick back.
yeah. Every once in a while, not all the time.
Now he just mouths off on his radio show, and I
or
want him to.
or he pushes people into fights.
Right? Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're gonna get in the scuffle, if the other guy's got his helmet off, take your helmet off.
I
mean,
agree.
McDowell didn't really have a chance to
No.
do that.
No.
Of course, I don't know that Suarez was going there to fight him either. His quotes afterwards led us to believe he might have been.
Any fight's gonna be cool, but I mean, sometimes it just happens fast, and you got the helmet on.
I mean, you could do the Cale Yarborough, Donnie Allison thing and just hit him with the helmet.
You get more. You're right. Helmet. What did he say? My helmet went to, or his face went to beating on my.
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
His
face.
Yeah,
started
I
hitting
don't know.
my fist.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
You could
should
do
take the helmet.
You could do the Michael Waltrip or the Jimmy Spencer and let him stay strapped in the car and punch him in the face.
Who did Marcos? Oh, Casey Mears. Remember Marcus Ambrose just cold cocked him.
Yep.
And there was no helmets on in that one.
Yep.
And that's grainy footage. That's like the Zapruder film of NASCAR fights. It's a good one if you can find it.
Oh, I'm so appreciative of Fox's camera work to be able to have the camera on when this stuff's happening. Yep. I mean,
that was great. No,
you look at the Kyle Busch, Joey Logano fight. If it wasn't for Gluck, we wouldn't have good footage of that one.
Oh, that was a good one too.
So,
yeah,
that one I think is, I don't know. There's been some good ones. We need that needs to be a off weekend discussion. Best NASCAR fights.
Yeah, one of my personal favorites is the John West Townley Hug Fest a couple years ago. Like they were just hugging each other.
Would it turn into
around.
a WWE move on the?
Yeah,
that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites. Not because it was good though.
Remember when Tony Stewart said to Joey Logano he's going to bust his ass?
Yeah.
And that was a pretty good scrum on pit road. I really wish, man. Sometimes the pit crew. I get why the pit crews get in there, but sometimes I wish they'd just give it a second.
Yeah.
Because I would have loved to have seen what Tony Stewart did with Joey Logano.
I thought the Casey Kane fight at Chicagoland when he got wrecked, was it Stewart?
I forgot about that one.
Wrecked
no,
him?
it was the pit crews. Yeah, the pit crews got
pit crews fought. That was a good one.
Yeah, Stewart wrecked Kane.
Yep.
And the pit crews their pit boxes were right next to each other, and it turned into a. And we didn't even mention the Clint Boyer one. That might be the best one ever.
Yeah. The
pit crews are rolling around, and Boyer's like running like half a mile down pit road.
Right.
With Marty Smith and Marty Smith's like trying to keep up, and there's a camera, and that was a good one. Some
good fights. Yeah. We need them every now and then. We got ours for this year, so.
Well, we got short tracks coming up here on the schedule soon, so maybe we'll get some more.
Yep, we'll take it. We'll take it anytime. And you either get the fights or you get something.
Jimmy does that a lot at these tracks.
Something like that.
That's going to come up all year.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to find a reason to use it at every single.
I'm not even going to say his name. He who shall not be named.
Yep.
Jimmy does that a lot at these tracks.
All right. James, do we care? I had a good do we care topic this week. I don't remember what it was. It was much better than this one, but we'll start this as a do we care, and I pretty much know how we're going to go on this, and then we'll discuss it a little bit more as to why this is the case. But we are 4 races into the 2019 season. We have yet to see a major penalty. Last year we had encumbered wins and all this crap, like almost every week it seemed like. We had lots of penalties for the leaders. We've not seen one yet this year. We did see a lug nut penalty on Kyle Busch's car this week, but not enough to. Yeah, it's a fine, no biggie.
Yeah.
That's how those should be. Period.
Yeah. Yep.
I think you should fine them, but suspensions and stuff for lug nuts is stupid. Let's leave that alone. Now, if a tire comes off, I get it.
Yep.
But so, do we care that 4 races in we've had no major penalties?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not for me. I think keep an eye out for like when we get a little deeper in the season, 15, race 15, 20 in that area. Let's see if we're still. Let's see how hard these teams are pushing to try to get a win to make it into the playoffs.
Well, let me say I do care because I am very happy about the fact that we aren't talking about penalties.
Yeah. You went the other way.
It's so nice to not be talking about penalties.
Yeah.
I honestly think that the threat of an actual disqualification of
Yep,
actually
that's-
losing a win is
Yep.
going to be enough to keep these teams honest.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're going to get every once in a while somebody's going to step out. But yeah,
Yep.
you're right. Even NASCAR said that was their goal at the beginning of the year. We want to make this a pre-race
Yep.
inspection deal.
Yep.
But
and
you
that's
know
the way
what
it should be. The cars are legal when they go on the track. They should be legal when they come off, in theory.
And you know what I really care about? Here's what I care about. This is kind of an offset of this. What I care about is getting the report the day of the race that the
Yes.
cars are clear.
Yeah.
That is what I care about. 'cause
It's allowed us to do the podcast a day earlier than we did last year. I mean,
Right, I know.
we were doing Wednesdays and Thursdays because we couldn't do Tuesday because we didn't know who the winner was.
Yeah, 'cause we didn't know if Joey Logano or Kevin Harvick or whomever was going to get the massive penalty taken down.
Yep.
Nope.
So
Yeah, that's right. Maybe I'll switch my answer to yes. I do. That is good.
good on NASCAR for making a change that works, finally getting it done and doing it the way it needs to be done. Like you said, they're working really hard to try and make sure these things are taken care of in pre-race. I believe the guy who was leading the R&D stuff is now the head inspector at NASCAR at the race. So he knows. I mean, the teams know what he's looking for. He knows what to look for. I mean, I'm sure. I still feel like somebody's gonna get bit. Somebody will get bit this year.
It'll happen. Yeah, I think later in the season it's going to be a problem. I think these teams are going to play nice for a while. I do think we're going to see somebody gamble.
Yep.
And they're going to get busted.
Yep. And it'll be interesting to see if we see somebody gamble who's outside looking in that needs to get in, or if we see somebody gamble who's already in that's just like, well, let's see how far we can push it.
Yeah, if somebody's got 5 wins or something. I mean, you've heard Brad Keselowski's already said, like, yeah, they're already testing stuff.
Yep.
So, yeah, I could see
Yeah,
somebody.
why wouldn't you? I mean, we're not going to have 16 winners this year. I don't think. I mean, we do have 4 different winners so far, but I don't think we'll have 16 winners. There's not enough guys that are going to get it done. So, these guys got 1 win. They should be in. They can play around a little bit now. So,
Heck yeah, yep.
All right, James, you take the next one. You put it on the list.
Yeah. So got some news. We kind of knew this was coming a little bit, but the Rockingham, looks like they're going to get some racing back.
Awesome.
We had announcement earlier in the year that they're going to definitely become an entertainment complex. They're going to have concerts and festivals. We see a lot of that at NASCAR tracks now. But they've gotten they got an $8 million grant for capital improvement from the state. And we're going to go racing at Rockingham again. And I could see, man, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a leap. If we're going to have cars on the track, that NASCAR would make a play again at some point.
You would think so. You'd think we're going to get.
I have to.
We're going to get Cup or Xfinity out, or Truck or Xfinity out there. I mean, at some point.
For sure. I mean, I know trucks had tried it most recently, and they just didn't. I don't think they had the infrastructure to continue at that point. The track was still hemorrhaging money at the time. So now that
they also didn't get the crowd they were hoping for.
Well, you're right, but no track's getting any crowds anymore that
That's
they want.
true.
I mean, Daytona's the only racetrack that gets the crowds that they want.
Well, I mean, we were talking. I was reading. Jeff Gluck does patrons only travel tips thing, and he was talking about Phoenix, and Phoenix was touting they had a sellout. I believe they had a sellout again this weekend.
Yeah, that was not a sellout.
But their seating is less than what the Arizona Diamondbacks seat in their arena.
That crowd was not. That crowd was maybe 2/3.
Yeah, so their seating is in the under 50,000.
Yeah, it's a baseball game now.
Yeah, and so that just goes to show you. Yeah, it's okay, but their sellout, I have in quotes, would not be a sellout. 10 years ago.
Wasn't MIS up to 1? What was MIS?
It was a lot. Well, shoot, they had a mile and a half of stands.
Yeah. It was 160,000 fans at one point, and we're not. I mean, that's not going to happen.
Well, Daytona used to do 200,000 easy for the 500 just in seats.
Yep.
And now I think their capacity is 150 for seats.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Which they filled it up. They still filled it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but if we can get Rockingham back, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Anything we can do. The track is not. It hasn't become decrepit like North Wilkesboro.
Right.
So it's still in working order, and the fact that the state is willing to pump money into it for numerous things, but the fact that they're going to invest in the racetrack. So we've got Nashville and Rockingham both making big investments to their local tracks.
Look back at some old Rockingham Cup races and find a bad
saw
one for
today.
them.
Steve Park, that was going around the Twitter today. Steve Park beating Bobby Labonte.
Yeah.
When-
Seriously, find me a bad Rockingham race.
But shoot,
in
the
Cup
last one
Series.
was the best one.
Yeah.
Casey Kane and Matt Kenseth.
Exactly. Yeah. There's been some great races at the Rock. So,
Hopefully we get it.
yeah, it'd be nice.
Nope.
A lot of people, I've seen a lot of people predicting that Nashville is going to be the next All-Star race.
I could see it. NASCAR's making a big investment in Nashville.
Yep, I could see that happening. I didn't realize. Did we talk about it on the podcast and I just forgot that they've moved the banquet to Nashville?
We talked about it a long time ago, but NASCAR finally made it official last week that they're going to take the banquet to Nashville. I mean, that's a smart play.
I find it interesting that Vegas is losing all of its stuff now. Like Vegas was like the destination for like ending seasons.
Yeah.
And now, the Cup Series isn't going there for the banquet anymore. Monster Jam is doing their World Finals in Orlando this year, which was odd. I didn't even know that was happening.
That's terrible.
You know, so it's really interesting to see that stuff's pulling out of Vegas.
Yeah, well, you go to Vegas to in Vegas doesn't care. They're
Right.
with the
No.
legal sports gambling now.
Yeah.
They don't need live events like they used to. They can
No.
just bring people in to gamble and do whatever the heck they want.
Yep. Yep.
But Vegas has a second NASCAR date now, so they'll be fine.
Yep.
They don't care.
Well, that's the thing. Like I thought when they added that second date and the fact that they had the banquet out there, that was telling us that we were going to end the season there before too long. But
Yeah.
I'm not thinking that's going to happen anymore.
No, I don't think so. I think they're happy.
Yep. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. These schedule changes. I want to again caution people to not get too excited over the potential schedule changes.
April 1st, I saw 2020 schedule should be ready to go.
Yeah, we'll. I
That's
don't.
coming quick.
I don't expect as big of changes as what people are hoping for, especially in the Cup Series. There's
Yeah.
still too much there that there's too many people that depend on these dates and too many economies that revolve around these race dates to just completely turn everything on its head.
2021 will be the year.
Yeah, I think we'll start to see some changes. I honestly believe what you're going to see, there's a lot of talk about a condensed schedule, and a lot of people think that means fewer races, and I don't think it means that. I think your condensed schedule is going to include weekday races, and it's going to be a shorter season with the same number of dates.
Yeah, like if they have, if you can get Nashville on the schedule, for example, you take a date from somewhere else.
Right.
That's a perfect spot to go. If you
Yep.
run Bristol and go to Nashville, whatever you got to do. But yeah, that'd be the perfect place to do
I'd be
it.
interested to see if they would do that in Bristol and Nashville because it sounds like it's going to be a similar team putting that together.
Yeah, you can make it a heck of a.
That'd be
you can make
pretty
it a heck
rough
of a week.
That'd be pretty rough
Yeah.
on that group. Though.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things that. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
But
They're gonna have to figure that out.
the problem is the TV groups, NBC and Fox, paid a lot of money for this latest TV contract, and their contract's not up till I think 2024.
Yeah.
So you're not going to see a big reduction in race dates, or they're going to want money back.
No.
So they're going to have to do. NASCAR's got to work with them too, and everything else. Yes, sure, everything lines up for 2020 to be a big change in other areas, but not in that area. So
It's one thing to fly a hockey team or a basketball team, to get 3 or 4 games a week.
right.
It's different to have the whole sport go from, trying to get 2 races in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, I want to bounce back to qualifying real quick. We talked about the fight in qualifying. We've seen some really screwy things in qualifying the last couple weeks, and I think we're going to continue to see it with this new package, with teams sitting on pit road and waiting and whatever. And I've heard some arguments that that's a good thing because it's exciting and we don't know what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. I think it's kind of annoying, personally.
I do too.
I don't know why NASCAR doesn't go to okay, I know I've taken examples from Supercross multiple times and said let's do something like Supercross. But I thought, Monster Energy coming in was going to actually get us to do some of that. And why don't they do the Supercross thing where Supercross has 3 practice sessions. The first one is untimed. You go out there and you do your thing. They only do like 10 minutes, so NASCAR would have to do a little bit longer. But you get your first untimed practice session, and the next 2 are timed. And those times go toward your starting order. Why don't we do that? Then all these games are done because people are practicing at the same time, and it's just about getting a good lap during that practice session.
I feel like NASCAR needs a start clock. Like you have, let's say, so we're going to Auto Club Speedway.
Right.
You qualify in that round starts. You have 1 minute to get to the start finish line.
Yeah.
And you horse around all you want, but get to the start finish line within 1 minute. That puts a cap on. Don't give them an end time.
Well, I think they
Give
need
them-
to stop allowing to sit on pit road too.
That's so stupid.
If you're
the
rolling, go.
the whole thing at, what was it, Vegas? Was it Vegas or Atlanta where Clint Boyer was? That was Atlanta, where he was flying down and there was people running off the track. I was like, good Lord,
Yeah.
so stupid. This is a professional sport, for God's sakes.
Yeah, it looks pretty foolish right now.
Qualify like professionals. You think F1 and all the other sports are looking at it like what?
Right, and that's how F1 does it. It's basically a big practice session.
Just screwing. Yeah, this more screwing around. I hate it.
Yep, I do too.
I hate watching qualifying.
I don't watch it. I mean,
No.
might start tuning in now if we're going to start fighting during it. But
Yeah, right.
what do you think? Do you think that meeting in the NASCAR hauler? You think there was a lot of discussion, or you think it was just like NASCAR shaking their hands, saying, "Good job, guys. Thank you."
A couple pats on the
Yeah.
back.
Here's a $1,000. Thanks for getting us some coverage, getting qualifying some attention. You guys did good work. Go back to
Yep.
racing.
Yep. Fox and NBC will be using that for the rest of the year. You're good.
Definitely. All right, so we put Phoenix in the rearview mirror. We go to Auto Club Speedway this weekend for the Auto Club 400 at California. I think I get the first pick, right? You got this right? on
Yep, I got the
list?
order. Yeah, we got it back on track.
All right, I'm going to go way out on a limb for my pick, and I'm going to say we get our first repeat winner of the year, and Kyle Busch continues the streak and gets 201 because I think he'll get 200 on Saturday. So there you go.
Dang it.
Was that your pick? Did I steal your pick?
No, well, I was gonna probably take him. Yeah, I was mulling it over. I'm going to go with somebody who hasn't won in a while, but who's won here in the past in Xfinity and Cup. He's pretty good, not the best, but he's only has 5 starts. Kyle Larson.
Okay, that's a good
He
one.
gets back. Yeah, he's been running pretty well. I think he can get off the schneid.
I'm all
And,
done picking Kyle Larson until he wins.
Oh
a
yeah,
couple
we
more
put him on a.
races.
Oh yeah, I forgot we had put him on a ban last year.
Yeah. Yep.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I'm
I think
lifting
you
it.
enforced that ban, so
I did. I was mad.
yeah.
That's probably the maddest I've ever been on this podcast until Paul Menard. Oh, I said his name.
Jimmy does that a lot at these tracks.
It's like a double entendre too, because it's me, Jimmy, and Jimmy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get Dark Horse too, first pick.
Ooh, dark horse. You know what? A guy a couple spots behind him on the average finish roll. I think he'd be a good dark horse. Daniel Suarez.
Daniel Suarez, that's a good one.
And Mr. Fisticuffs.
That's a really good one. Let's see.
Nice place to break out. By the way, his first Xfinity win, I was there, Michigan, the sister track. So there you go.
Was it photo finish?
That one was not. It was really close. He went toe to toe with Kyle Busch. It was a great finish. But
Were we
Suarez
both there
got
for that one? Was that the one we went to together?
No, we were there the year after that
Okay.
one.
I couldn't.
No,
remember.
that was gosh, yeah, that was 2016.
I'm really
yeah,
just
was that
stalling
one?
right now so I can figure out who my dark horse is going to be. So keep talking
God.
about it.
Let's pick Austin Dillon.
No, I can't pick Austin Dillon.
You know who I think qualifies as a dark horse?
Who's that?
Giving you some ideas here. Eric Jones.
You think so?
I think
I
so.
guess
I think he would qualify here.
Yeah, I'm not going.
He only
with
has
Jones
2
either.
starts on the track.
I guess I can't go William Byron. He stunk this week. I'm gonna go William Byron anyway.
It's going to be better this week.
I'm
Than
gonna keep picking him as my dark horse until he's no longer a dark horse.
There's something there with Byron this year. I hope I'm not the only one who's like seeing things, but I don't know. He's like right there. I feel
Yeah.
like it's not that far away.
I agree.
I could be wrong.
He's got Chad Knaus, man.
Oh.
Of course he's right there.
I feel like we've been touting him for a while. I just want him to win.
Me too. It needs to happen. Gotta happen.
You know.
All right. So those are our picks. Any shout outs this week, James?
I do. It's less of a shout out and more of a suggestion.
Okay.
Netflix dropped their new documentary series, Formula One: Drive to Survive.
It's in my watch
And-
list.
It is. I've watched the first episode, and there's a lot of Gene Haas. It's good. It's good, people. I like it.
Nice.
If you want an inside look, a quick look at the world of F1, man, I'd love NASCAR to do something like that with one of these big streaming partners. It would be cool. But it's good. I like it.
Cool.
If you like racing, you'll like it.
I will check it out. I don't have any shout outs this week. I don't think. Yeah, nothing's coming to mind. I'll probably think of something after the show. So take a look at the fantasy league results from this past week. James, how'd you do this week at ISM Raceway?
I am not doing good. This is probably the worst I've ever been.
Six out of 7, huh?
I am not joking. I am dead last in the overall standings, and it's not close. It's not pretty, guys.
So I think we need to ban Ranger Runyon because he is running away with things. He missed a week and he's kicking everybody's butt anyway.
Yep.
He's inching his way up. He's 4th right now overall, but he got the win this weekend at ISM Raceway. Let me switch back here. Justin 713 comes home 2nd. Yours truly, the KB Show, in 3rd, 201. And if I would have been able to, I was live, and I just waited a little too long to go to the garage because I think I had Keselowski or somebody that I needed to switch out, and I didn't do it in time.
Yeah, I had a good one on the bench too, and I didn't go get him.
Yeah. So Freight Train 295 comes home 4th. Scoters in 5th. Smoky Comeback. Who's that, James? Is that you?
That's me.
6th place. Hurricane Ditka comes home in 7th. So
I am the start and park of the fantasy league this year. I'm just saving it.
Justin 713 moves into the points lead. I believe he bypassed Freight Train this week because Freight Train was leading.
He had a monster week. Yeah, and he is over 200 points ahead of me. He's got a big lead.
Yeah.
He's almost 100 points ahead of 2nd place right now. He's crushing it.
Yeah, I'm in 3rd, 640. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, this is a weird year.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really worried because I'm trying to be careful because I like the other system where you had to pick C drivers. See, this system, that's like, it's hard to tell because these guys might just be picking all A drivers.
I think this has got me screwed up because I usually the B and C drivers is that's my bread and butter.
Right.
That's where I can make up a lot of ground. And this format, I'm scared. Like, I've got Harvick and Kyle Busch, and I'm like, I can't use all my guys. Yeah. I'm gonna say screw it. I'm just gonna start using drivers.
I'm trying to be careful, but I might take a week and just like throw everything at it and see what happens.
I need to have a good points day. I'm gonna tell everybody my strategy right now.
Yeah. Oh, I had Eric Jones.
I did too. Yep.
And Chase Elliott was on the bench.
I had Kurt Busch on the bench, and that would have been a really big swing for me.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's interesting because I mean I'm down to I've only got 7 starts left for Harvick and Kyle right now because I keep sticking them in there, and of course I put them both in this week because I thought for sure, and Kyle got me something, but Harvick
maybe I'll run you guys down. Maybe that's a strategy that's actually working.
That's the thing you might be good. You might be saving them up for the end of the season.
I'd rather have Kyle Busch in the playoffs than
keep in mind though, I believe this league resets at the playoffs. I have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure I heard him talking about it on Race Hub or something, or one of those shows, and I think they use the same. I think they use the NASCAR Fantasy, so I think it resets at the playoffs.
Oh, very good.
So in that case, use them up, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you got 10 starts per driver, and you only have to worry about 26
you can't do any
races.
worse than I'm doing right now. So what's the difference if I run out of drivers or not?
Right.
It doesn't matter.
You can just pick Paul Menard every week.
Yeah, I'll make a lot of gains.
There you go. There you go. Anything else we need to hit on before we head out?
That's it. We're done early.
I know. I like these Tuesday shows. Not a lot of news. We can get through.
The sun is still shining outside.
What the heck? That's because of the stupid time change.
I know.
Don't get me started on that. All right, James, where can they find you on social media if they want to find you during the week?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me at TSuperspeedway on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/TheSuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. You can find the podcast on there. Different coverage from past races, photos, etc. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. Wherever you're listening today, we hope you subscribe. You can also become a patron if you'd like and help out the show. Become a part of the show. There's all kinds of different tiers you can participate in at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. It is the Auto Club 400 at Auto Club Speedway this weekend at California. We'll be back next week to talk about it and preview the next week and talk about how bad James did in fantasy this week. So
I'm winning this week. Calling it. Calling my shot.
Make sure to join us next week. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.